Handa was a useless and ugly boy who lived his life thinking that everyone around him hated him, even though many people in his class liked him. That day, when he opened his locker, a letter fell out, but he thought it was another threatening letter, like the ones he used to get in middle school, so he crushed it and threw it away in the trash. As soon as he turned around, a girl, Juri, came in front of him and called him out for throwing away the love letter that her friend Maiko had stayed up all night to write. Handa didn't take it seriously because he was sure Maiko had come to fight him. Then Handa asked what they wanted from him. Maiko said she wanted him to meet her behind the gym after school, and Handa spent the whole day thinking about how he might get beaten up. When he tried to draw in class, the teacher called him to the front and made him solve a hard math question on the board. Handa wrote out the answer with his brush without stopping and came back to his seat, thinking about what to say to Maiko and Juri. Juri caught him looking at her and took it the wrong way, but she didn't want to ruin her friendship with Maiko. Then Handa quietly put a letter on Juri's desk, and Juri got nervous, thinking Handa liked her. Later, Maiko came to have lunch with Juri in their class, and when she started bragging about being the most beautiful girl in school, Juri decided to take Handa away from Maiko. Near the end of the day, Handa still hadn't figured out how to face Maiko, and he wondered if he could just run away. But behind the gym, people were waiting for him, so Handa picked up his bag and went, not knowing that both girls liked him. He asked what the meeting was for, so Juri told him to stop being dramatic. Maiko came closer and tried to give Handa another love letter, but Juri quickly knocked the paper out of her hand. She lied and said it was an accident, but Juri kept doing it until she even grabbed Maiko by the throat, while Handa just stood there confused, watching both of them. Juri told Handa to stay away from Maiko, saying that Maiko looks good on the outside but is bad inside, and also told Handa that Maiko doesn't deserve him because her head looks like a building block. Handa didn't understand what she was saying, so Juri pushed Maiko to the ground and hurt her in different ways to show Handa how bad things could get if anything happened between the two girls. Then she told Handa to forget about them and move forward in life. Handa was tired of their stupid fighting, so he turned and walked away like nothing happened. Before leaving, Handa told them to care about their friendship more than other things, and when Maiko told him again to read her letter, Handa told her to just write to Santa to ask for a bigger cup size. Maiko stayed there crying until it got dark, and Juri didn't like to see her friend like that, so she said they should come up with a love letter together that Handa wouldn't be able to ignore. The next day at school, the teacher said the class would vote for a new class rep. Since Aizawa had done the job for the last 10 years, he was sure he would win again. But because Handa was suddenly popular, his name also came up for the job this time. Aizawa wondered what this heartbreaker would get from taking the job from him. Handa thought his classmates only nominated him to make his life difficult, but deep down, he actually wanted Aizawa to win, so he quietly let things happen. When the votes were counted, the teacher saw that Handa and Aizawa had the same number, so he said they should settle it with a simple rock, paper, scissors game. Aizawa got angry that such an important job was being decided with a kid's game, but when the whole class accepted it, Aizawa agreed to finish it today. Handa told Aizawa that he would always pick rock so that Aizawa would win. Everyone was surprised at this, and Aizawa started thinking if Handa was telling the truth or trying to set him up. He decided to ignore what Handa said, but he lost the first round, so he asked the teacher for another chance. In the second round, Aizawa beat Handa. Now both had 1 point, and for the last round, Aizawa only had to pick paper to win, but he started thinking about different outcomes. He trusted his thinking, but Handa beat him without trying. Handa thought Aizawa had tricked him into getting this bad job, so Handa said he wouldn't be class rep because he had other important things to do. Aizawa stopped him and said he couldn't just walk away. Handa told him to care about his own life and left the class. Everyone thought Handa was rude, but Aizawa sided with Handa and said that what Handa did had shown him the true meaning of leadership. For this reason, Aizawa decided to give the job back to Handa. When Handa came back and saw his name on the blackboard, he got angry and thought his class hated him. Aizawa explained that he gave up the job himself and said not to worry because he was still ready to do all the work even without the title. Outside the class, all the girls were going crazy about a new student, Rio, a long-haired, handsome teen model with clear skin and a good smile. Rio was said to be the most liked guy in school, but after Handa suddenly became more popular, Rio now had to share his fan base with a lonely, strange boy who didn't know how to dress. Rio asked the girls who was better, Handa or him. The girls said Rio was better looking, but they also said Handa was more liked because of his mysterious and gentle personality. After this, Rio decided to follow Handa all day to find out what made him special. He only saw that Handa had a weird interest in street cats. Rio followed him to a local market, where modeling agents were secretly searching for new talent. Rio was scared Handa might take his job, so he ran forward and tried to block the scout from recruiting Handa. But a fashion scout slapped Rio, then went to Handa and gave him a jacket, telling Handa that if he signed a modeling contract, he would get very popular. Handa didn't like the man's actions or attitude, so he took the jacket and put it around Rio, saying that poor and homeless street boys should also wear good clothes. Then Handa just walked away. That day, Rio decided to quit modeling and live like this man, who had shown him how to be unselfish. The next morning, Aizawa gave Handa a packet and told him to deliver it to a student named Akane, who hadn't come to school for a year. Handa wondered why a good-looking boy would quit school. He got to Akane's apartment, knocked on the door, but nobody answered, so he thought about leaving the packet there and going home. Suddenly, a huge man appeared and asked what he wanted. Handa said he didn't want to fight, and he was only there to deliver the packet for Akane. This big man explained that he was Akane, and Handa was surprised to see that the small pretty boy in the picture was now so big. Akane told Handa that at school he was bullied because he had a face like a girl. Boys didn't want to hang out with him, and girls didn't like him because he was better looking than them. That's why he quit school and stayed in his room. Then, after seeing a bodybuilding commercial on TV, he started exercising every day, and he got so strong he could beat up local thugs. Now people were afraid of him, so he said he didn't need to go to school, and even the police couldn't bring him back. Handa didn't care about what he was saying and just gave him the packet. Akane misunderstood and thought Handa was challenging him to a fight. He started to watch Handa closely, ready to attack if Handa did anything. Akane was about to hit Handa when suddenly, some street punks attacked them. Handa gave Akane the packet and tried to leave. Akane thought Handa would help him fight, so he started beating up the punks and kept thinking that Handa was also fighting on his side. One punk tried to stop Handa, but after seeing Handa's eyes, he backed off, and the others realized this was the famous Handa they had heard about. To avoid fighting with Handa, the punks ran away right away. Then Akane opened the packet and found out that Handa did all this to give him courage to come back to school. The next morning, Akane finally returned to school. Aizawa was still trying to figure out how he had gotten so big, and Akane decided in his heart that he would always protect Handa. That same day, everyone gathered for the practical cooking class. Condo, the most normal boy in school, was scared to see that he was in the same group as Handa and a few strange boys. Aizawa and the others decided that they would do all the work so Handa could just relax. But Condo saw worry on Handa's face and wondered if this was really what Handa wanted. They started working on the recipe, and while everyone was trying to help in their own way, Condo noticed that Handa was putting the worst things in the pudding cup. Akane started getting angry at the other boys, and then Handa set the kitchen on fire while making fries. The head chef told all the students to go outside so they wouldn't get hurt. Aizawa and the others were worried about keeping Handa safe, but Condo picked up the fire extinguisher and quickly put out the fire. The boys thought Handa started the fire on purpose so they would stop fighting each other. Then they opened the fridge and took out the pudding cups Handa made for them. Condo tried to stop them, but even though they tasted horrible, Aizawa and the others kept eating because they thought everything made by Handa was the best. Later that same day, a girl sitting by Handa didn't see that her eraser rolled under Handa's desk. Handa felt nervous about giving it back, so he just gave her a new eraser. This small kindness made Miyoko fall in love with Handa. After school, Handa went shopping with his friend Kawafuji. He wanted to buy paper for his next artwork when two girls entered the store. Handa didn't want them finding out he was friends with Kawafuji, so he quickly hid between the shelves. When the girls left, Handa told Kawafuji that if people learned he was friends with the school's most hated boy, his reputation would get ruined, but Kawafuji didn't understand what he was talking about. Handa kept hiding from girls until they went to a cafe where both of them ordered different drinks. Kawafuji told Handa to stop hiding because he didn't care what other people thought about their friendship. Handa was surprised to hear such straight words from his only friend. Handa didn't know that his fear of girls and his habits had actually started because of Kawafuji. In middle school, Kawafuji got upset when the girl he liked asked him to deliver a love letter to Handa. To get revenge, Kawafuji told Handa that the girl was spreading bad things about him, and he never got to explain it was just a joke, so Handa started believing that all girls were bad. The next day at school, Handa overheard some girls saying they bought a good poem from him in the park, but Handa didn't tell them it wasn't him. The girls put the poem on the board, but Handa thought it was ugly. Some of his classmates noticed the writing was different and went to investigate. They went to the park and found a look-alike boy selling poems as Handa. Akane got angry and hit the fake boy. Rio slapped him, and Aizawa tried to cut his hair with scissors until the boy finally admitted he was a big, obsessed cosplayer with the real name, K. K said he was the biggest fan of Handa, so he kept learning everything about him, like his walk, speech, and art. Then 2 girls came to Kei thinking he was Handa and invited him to leave his friends in the park and go with them. More girls arrived after that. When Kei couldn't take it anymore, he took off his mask and showed his real face. The girls realized he was a fake and left. The boys saw how bad Kei felt and started crying, then took him back to school so he could apologize. When they entered the class, Kei saw a note on the board written by Handa saying he should focus on his own life instead of copying others. After crying, Kei left, saying he would now change his ways and get braces to fix his teeth so he could look even more like Handa. At that time, 2 senior girls saw Handa taking a gift from a very beautiful woman and thought she was Handa's girlfriend. They took a picture and posted it on Twitter, and after that, many girls at school got mad at Handa for being with an older woman. When Handa returned to class, he saw strange handwriting on his desk. Later, Aizawa and the other boys realized it was a last message from one of his fangirls. Then, a boy came in and said that Miyoko was about to jump off the highest floor of the building. All the students ran to stop her. Miyoko explained that the day Handa gave her a new eraser, her life changed, and since then she couldn't focus on her schoolwork because she was always thinking about Handa. Then she said that now Handa is with another woman, so she would end her life. When she was about to do it, she saw Handa standing behind her and started waiting for him to apologize. Handa didn't understand what was happening, so he talked to his desk as if it was a person, saying not to be upset about what happened and that nothing could replace it. Miyoko thought Handa was talking to her, so she started crying and decided to keep living. Her friends came and hugged her. Later, when she was still crying at the fountain, the woman she thought was Handa's girlfriend came to Miyoko and asked for directions to the PTA meeting. Then Miyoko found out the woman was Handa's mother, so she ran to tell the other fangirls. On the other side, Handa was in a meeting with his teacher and his mother, and they told him to interact more with the class. But no matter how much Handa tried, his classmates still thought he was too perfect for them, so their reaction stayed strange. Then Handa tried to become friends with Condo, and even though Handa's words seemed weird, Condo still answered nicely, so Handa went home. After a short holiday, school started again, and the vice principal scolded 2 students for wandering around the school ground. The girls said he was trying to look at them in a wrong way. At that moment, student body president, Sawako Tenuji, suddenly appeared and threatened the vice principal that she would reveal his OnlyFans issue to everyone, so he left without saying anything. The girls called Sawako their hero and gave her gifts as thanks, and Sawako liked that she was becoming a role model for the school's girls. Then she saw Handa passing with his group and got angry. Sawako hated boys, and also didn't like that Handa could easily steal the attention of her follower girls, so she planned to put him down. In the next student body meeting, Sawako called 2 senior students who were known to be strong and told them to trap and embarrass Handa. Both of them agreed, but when they got close to Handa, he stopped them and told them to take care of their health. He was actually talking to stray cats, but his words stopped both girls, and then they went back and told Sawako they couldn't do it. Sawako, angry, told her council members to catch Handa and bring him over. When Handa arrived, Sawako said his punishment would be to wear the girl's uniform for the whole year because he took her followers. Handa didn't understand anything and wondered how he got stuck in this trouble. Then student body vice president Rikamaru told him to just wear the uniform. Handa tried to run to avoid being made a joke in front of the whole school, but Sawako and her team chased him in the hallway. They surrounded him, Rikamaru grabbed him, Handa slipped on the stairs and fell right on top of Sawako. When Sawako woke up, she didn't like what happened, but her friends said that because of Handa, she didn't get a big head injury, so Sawako thought she started to have some feelings for Handa. Then she hit Rikimaru for making an inappropriate move and left with her friends. Meanwhile, Aizawa came to save Handa, but learned that Handa had lost a lot of his memory. Ryo and Akane saw Handa walking weirdly in the hallway and were surprised, and Aizawa said that some of Handa's memory would come back and he would be okay in a week. When Handa heard them, he said not to worry about his condition because nothing could be done at this point. Handa said that he only remembered he was the most popular boy in school. Akane saw that Handa's behavior was changing, so Aizawa said they should find a way to get his memory back soon. Handa tried to talk to different girls in the hallway, but when he admitted to wanting to get close, the girls lost interest and said the real Handa wouldn't act like this. Miyoko also tried to get close the same way, but Handa didn't like her. Aizawa checked books and said that to get Handa's memory back, they needed to hit him hard on the head. After escaping from Miyoko, Handa thought being popular was not good, since his life was now harder than before when nobody paid attention to him. At the same time, Akane came behind and tried to hit Handa on the head, saying this was the only way things would go back to normal. Handa ran off, and then Aizawa and Ryo also ran after him with hammers until they got him surrounded. Handa thought everyone hated him, and then he slipped and fell down the stairs just like before. When he got up, his memory had returned, and he thought everyone at school wanted to hurt him, so he stared at Aizawa and the others and left. Kawafuji thought Handa's school life was getting really bad, so he later asked him to come out for a walk. Handa dressed up like a woman to hide himself so people wouldn't recognize him. A friend of Kawafuji, Hasegawa, joined them. To hide his identity, Handa called himself Hanzawa. He told Kawafuji he was scared people would find out who he really was, but Kawafuji told him to act normal and make some new friends. Hasegawa wanted to win an award that was given if he got perfect points in all 3 games: bowling, darts, and basketball. Handa was scared because he had never played any of them. He tried to help in bowling, but kept making mistakes in front of everyone. Then Kawafuji showed how it was done by getting 3 strikes in a row. In the next game, Handa wanted to prove himself to Hasegawa. Kawafuji did badly at first in darts, but then hit the bullseye 3 times in a row while wearing dark shades. Since Hasegawa was good at basketball, he played the last game himself, got a 3-point shot on the first try, and won the prize. Kawafuji went to get some drinks. After he left, Hasegawa talked to Handa like a normal person and said he could give him some comics if he wanted, and Handa enjoyed being friends with him. At that moment, some senior boys from the basketball team came, pushed Hasegawa down, and stole his special prize while Handa just stood there. When Kawafuji didn't show up, Handa changed out of his disguise and went to the seniors with a tough attitude, so they gave Hasegawa's prize back and left. Hasegawa was surprised that Handa did that for him. When Kawafuji returned, Handa told him everything that happened. During this, Hasegawa forgot about Hanzawa and asked Kawafuji to give some comics to Hanzawa too, not knowing that Hanzawa and Handa were the same person. Over at the sports field, the athletes were preparing for an important race, but none of them were as fast as the school's top runner, Higashino Kotaro, also called Dash. Everyone liked him because he had turned down an offer to study at the country's best school on a sports scholarship. However, nobody knew that Dash stayed here only to get revenge against Handa. In middle school, Handa had beaten Dash in a race, and Dash felt Handa had cheated, so he decided to get his revenge. When Dash asked Handa to race again, Handa pulled out at the last minute and started crying, so Ki offered to take Handa's place for a second race. As soon as Ki put on his mask, Dash ran at top speed on the track and finished the race in 10 seconds. Dash thanked Ki for the help, but still wanted to compete with the real Handa. They tried to scare Handa by setting a fire in the hallway so he would run, but Handa just covered his nose and escaped the smoke. So Dash's trainer told him not to waste time on a small race against Handa. She said his career as a pro athlete was more important and his friends would always be with him, so Dash decided to focus on taking his team to nationals. But when he saw Handa running back home at top speed, he forgot his decision and ran after him. Dash finally beat him in the race. But when Handa suddenly changed direction, Dash realized Handa was running away from something, and then a dog jumped on Dash. The next day at school, Miyoko showed her hand to her friend Tsugumi, and after Tsugumi guessed it right, she started the same thing with other students. She wanted a difficult case, so Tsugumi went to Aizawa and the boys, and told them to arrange a handwriting session with Handa. The boys said Handa didn't participate in things like this, but Handa overheard them and went to his desk to pretend to sleep so Tsugumi could read his hand. Tsugumi read his hand immediately, but was surprised because she didn't see any sign of popularity or confidence in Handa. She thought Handa's life was hard, but told the boys that Handa would live his life alone and solve many problems. When they asked about Handa's future, Tsugumi said Handa would have many children with different women, which made the boys happy because it meant Handa's life would be big. After midterms, the class teacher, Mr. Akiyama, announced results, telling those with low marks to study hard, because the makeup exam would be next week. Then he started giving out report cards. Most students were happy with their results, but Rio and Akane were sad because they failed. After school, the boys decided to make a study plan to help Akane and Rio pass the coming exam. And Aizawa said their meeting space would be called Honda Force Headquarters. Everyone liked the name except Condo, who said it would be wrong to make a club about Handa without telling him, but the others ignored him. Aizawa showed his report card and he was first in the midterm. He promised to spend all his time helping Rio and Akane pass the makeup test. Seeing Aizawa's rank, the others started wondering about Handa's marks, believing he would be first. Aizawa said Handa probably made some mistakes on purpose to avoid attention. The boys decided they would do their best so Handa would be proud of them. On test day, all the students giving the makeup test were told to gather in the classroom, so Dash and Kei also came. Dash had failed because he was more interested in running than studying, and Kei failed because he wrote Handa's name on his answer sheet instead of his own. Key wanted to sit in Handa's chair to feel like the real Handa, but Dash wanted the chair too, so the two started fighting over it. Akane and Rio stopped them and said that chair was only for the real Handa. During the argument, Handa himself entered the class to take the makeup test. Mr. Akiyama told everyone to go to their seats. Rio and the others were surprised that Handa was taking the makeup test, since they thought he was the smartest. But Handa had to take the test again because he forgot to write his name on the exam sheet the first time, so Mr. Akiyama told him to take it over. When the exam started, Handa made scratching sounds with his pencil like he was drawing instead of writing, and the rest of the students got distracted and instantly began to copy him. They became so focused on making the same sounds that Akane and the others started filling the answers really quickly, not even caring if the answers were right or wrong. They just wanted to be like Handa. Time ended, and everyone turned in their paper and left the class. Afterward, Aizawa went to Rio and Akane and asked how the test went, and they said it went great because Handa was there, and that was enough for them. The next day, the test results came, and both Akane and Rio got good marks. They thanked Aizawa, but Aizawa said the credit went to Handa. Condo asked why, and Aizawa explained that Handa failed the first test on purpose, so he would be there at the makeup test and give courage to the ones who really failed. At this time, in the school library, Kasumi was a girl who liked to be alone, and she also liked Handa. Most students had stopped coming to the library, but Kasumi didn't care because she only wanted to see Handa. Because of less student interest, the library budget was cut, so Kasumi bought some romance novels with her own money and put art-style covers on them to trick Handa into taking the book. This plan worked, and Handa checked out the book, thinking it would improve his drawing. After Handa left, Aizawa and the other boys came to the library looking for him and decided to get some books too. While searching for books, Akane dropped the books Kasumi had bought for Handa by mistake, so Kasumi panicked and yelled at him. Rio figured out that Kasumi had specifically bought these romance books to get Handa's attention, and Kasumi started talking to Handa about her interests. Then Rio and the other boys decided to help Kasumi make the library better by collecting different kinds of books and putting them in the library to fill up the place so it would look nicer. When students learned about the new library, they all came in, and Kasumi got more requests than before. But because the space was now too full, Handa couldn't come in anymore. Later, when Handa came to return the book, he told Kasumi that the book cover didn't match the content inside. Kasumi asked if he found the book interesting. Handa said he was impressed by the effort and dedication in the work, and Kasumi thought that Handa finally saw her efforts. But Kasumi felt embarrassed for changing the cover, so she said that from now on, she would order books for the whole school instead of just Handa. Handa understood that as Kasumi banning him forever from the library. When he told this story to Kawafuji, Kawafuji told him he was an idiot for not understanding that Kasumi liked him, and that he shouldn't worry because he was ugly anyway. After that, Kawafuji told Handa to go with the rest of the class on a field trip so he could meet new people and make friends, so Handa agreed. Meanwhile, students from another high school were discussing their own vacation, so their most popular boy, Asahi, said they would also go on a field trip. On the train, Rio took out the snacks he brought and started sharing them with everyone. Then, Tsubasa and two other students from Shiro High School came into their cabin, so Akane stood up and blocked their way, telling them to leave. The strong boy from their group, Jimoto, told Akane to move out of the way. At the same time, Handa's candy slipped and landed on Jimoto's hair, so Jimoto got angry and was about to hit Handa when Asahi came and stopped him. Asahi apologized to everyone, and the girls were impressed by his behavior. Aizawa told Akane that Asahi was the most popular student at Shiro High School and was also seen as the top student at his own school. When they arrived at the field trip spot, the students were told to explore the area and return before curfew. On the way, Handa and his group met a fortune teller. They paid a small fee and decided to find out their future, and everyone was ready to hear Handa's fortune, but the Shiro High students came in between. They wanted Handa to look less important in front of Asahi, and that's what happened, because Asahi's fortune paper had very good messages. The other students didn't know that Asahi's own classmates planned all this. At night, everyone went to their beds in separate rooms, and Handa's room was with his friends. They felt something drop inside, through the window while sleeping. When they turned on the light, they saw a scary doll. Akane was sure it was a trick from Asahi's group, and said they should teach them a lesson. But Handa was sleeping so deeply, so the others decided to go back to sleep just like Handa, and said that at a moment like this, Handa would want them to stay calm. The next morning, the students continued their tour of the island. Handa saw a group of girls following Asahi, so he started following them for no real reason. The girls asked Asahi to take a picture with them, and Asahi agreed. When it was Handa's turn, Asahi gave him a costume to wear and said it would make the activity more fun. During the photo, Asahi quietly stuck a candy in Handa's hair to get back at him for the train incident. When it was time to take off the costume, Handa had trouble because the candy stuck his hair to the cloth, but Condo arrived and helped Handa. That night, Handa went with Condo to the gift shop so Condo could buy a gift for the girl he liked. Downstairs, Asahi's boys appeared, so Condo wanted to warn Handa, but Handa had already left. In the gift shop, Handa saw a nice pen and wanted to buy it for himself, but the pen fell under the table. When Handa tried to get it, his hand got stuck under the table. While he was trying to pull his hand out, Jimoto and his boys saw him and helped him. Handa stood up to thank them, but Condo quickly pulled him back so they wouldn't know it was Handa. Asahi's boys were confused, and when they asked Condo if he had seen Handa, Condo pointed at someone far away so they would leave the gift shop. Then he quickly went to help Handa, who was just getting up, and apologized to him for pushing him. At that moment, Komichi was coming toward them, so Condo quickly put a trash bag over Handa's head to cover him. Komichi warned Condo not to get in the way of Asahi's plans. Condo said Handa wasn't a bad guy, and the train situation was just a mistake. Komichi laughed and said he wanted to see which was better, Asahi's popularity or their Handa's. The next day, Asahi met Handa and asked if he didn't get tired of living up to other people's expectations. Handa said he didn't know what Asahi was talking about. Still, Asahi reached out his hand and asked if they could be friends. Handa replied that becoming friends with a popular guy would feel strange, and he already had good friends in his own class. After hearing this, Asahi realized there were already people around him who cared about him, but he had always underestimated them. Then he apologized for acting like king to his friends instead of treating them like real friends. But Komichi wasn't happy that Asahi was backing out of the competition. Komichi decided he would take care of it himself. When he moved forward to attack Handa, Condo slapped him. Asahi quickly stepped in, apologized for his friend's actions, and said from now on, there would be no more competition between the two schools. At the same time, nobody noticed that Handa was lying face down in the school lake. Because of complaints from parents, the school board decided that there would no longer be frog dissection in biology class. Mr. Starting, Akiyama got angry about this decision and spoke with Handa and Aizawa in the hallway, telling them to collect student signatures to bring dissection back. Akiyama was sure that with Handa's popularity, the students would agree. Handa also didn't like dissection, but couldn't say no to the teacher. In class, Aizawa explained the importance of frog dissection, but the class was divided because many students didn't want it. Then they asked for Handa's opinion, and to avoid making Mr. Akiyama upset, Handa said he would participate, so everyone signed and gave a request to bring the program back. On dissection day, Mr. Sido, Akiyama was very happy and hugged Handa, but Handa dropped his frog, which caused a minor accident. Then suddenly, frogs started escaping from the jars and jumped around the class, so students started running away. At the same time, the teacher saw Akane was hurt and bleeding. Akane told everyone to pay attention, and Handa began saying that dissection was cruel to innocent frogs. After that, Akiyama and the students released the frogs back into the river, and instead went out to the field to collect flowers for a herborizing project instead. Akiyama realized he was making a mistake, because he wanted to teach students to be gentle with dissection. But the students learned that lesson without hurting any frogs. Handa woke up in the clinic and walked home after school. Aizawa secretly followed him to make sure he got home safe. But after a while, Handa started running, and Aizawa thought someone was following Handa, even though it was really just Aizawa himself. At Handa Force headquarters, Aizawa told everyone that he was sure someone was following Handa, so they made a plan to catch the suspicious person. The next afternoon after school, they split up into two groups and hid along the paths Handa took to get home so they could catch the suspect from all sides. Handa came by the same route as Aizawa and Condo, so they quietly followed him, but Condo said they should walk with him so people wouldn't think they were stalkers. Aizawa said Handa Force worked in secret. In the middle of their argument, they heard a noise from the bushes and thought it was the stalker, but it was Miyoko who came out. Condo was suspicious of her, but Aizawa said she was also helping with Handa's protection. She explained that Miyoko now called herself Eraser, and she removed Handa's fangirls who got too obsessed with him. Kasumi was on her way to Handa's house to give him new romance books she ordered, so when Miyoko saw her, she stopped her right away. Meanwhile, Condo and Aizawa continued to follow Handa, but Handa suddenly started running fast and they lost him. Aizawa whistled to signal Dash to go after Handa, but Dash couldn't catch him and came back. They were still trying to figure out where Handa went when Reo and Akane showed up. The others explained that the stalker had tricked them into a dog cage, and an angry dog bit them. Miyoko joined them too. While they were making another plan, Handa tried to jump the fence from the other side, but saw them all standing there because he thought they had already left. This time, Handa didn't run and told them to stop following him because he was late to meet his only friend. That's when Condo realized they themselves were the ones following Handa. Even then, Aizawa still believed someone else was stalking him and said the search should continue. Later that same day, Condo heard people talking about him, so he went to Ryo for help, being more confident. Ryo told Condo to spend time with some girls who were there, but Condo wasn't interested, so he sat down and started reading his favorite book. While reading, he found a letter with a heart sticker on the table. Condo thought it was a love letter. He opened it and saw it was from a girl named Maki, and she wrote that he should meet her behind the gym after school. Condo started wondering if it was really a love letter or just a joke. He talked to Akane, who told him it was a challenge and he should get ready for a fight. Aizawa read the letter and said it really was a love letter because Maki didn't do that kind of joke, and added that she was only as beautiful as the average. Ryo told Condo to celebrate because this was a big day for him, and also fixed his hair. Aizawa said he should bring flowers for the girl. Everyone was watching Condo, and he thought he was getting popular because of Honda Force, so he happily went to meet Maki behind the gym. When he got there, Maki told him he was just an ordinary student and shouldn't pretend to be part of Honda Force because no girl would ever fall in love with him. When he heard this, Condo went totally silent. Immediately, his friends gathered around him and tried to help him forget Maki and feel better. But Condo quietly said he already knew this would happen. He said that an average student like him couldn't really be with a girl like Maki. He kept himself together for a while, and then he lost control and ran away. His friends thought he was not okay, so they ran after him. He started thinking about quitting Honda Force, and on the way he accidentally bumped into Handa. Handa thought Condo was the same guy who pushed him at the field trip. Condo saw the flowers in Handa's hand and asked what he was going to do with them. Handa said he was going to use them to annoy people, but Condo realized he was just trying to act tough, so he gave him a gift card as an apology for the incident from the day before. Then Condo walked away and went back to his friends, who were happy to see him feeling normal again. They didn't know that Handa's strange and shy way had actually helped Condo feel better about himself. But when Handa opened the card Condo gave him, the writing accidentally got smudged and turned into a word like idiot, so Handa thought Condo was tricking him and got even more annoyed at him. In another part of the school, some artist boys called the Bishujo Art Club always made manga about cute girls, but never sold any books. Aizawa came in and told them that since their club had proven to be the most useless in the school, the student council would stop funding them. The boys asked why their club was being shut down, and Aizawa said it was because the club never made any money for the school. He showed them a manga that had never sold. The boys said it wasn't their fault that people didn't like reading manga. Aizawa suggested making Handa the main character for their manga since he was the most popular boy in school, but said they had to get Handa's permission first. The boys got so excited by the idea that they kicked Aizawa out and started planning. Then, they remembered that by club rule, they could only draw cute girls. The fat boy in the group said they should just try making Handa into a cute girl. But they found it hard to design Handa right since he was mostly alone and didn't really have friends. So the club president, Sakurame, said they would all talk to Handa in their own ways, each make their own manga, and then mix all three stories to publish the best one. Sakurame went to the hallway where Handa was walking alone, and to test his real personality, took out a doll wearing something like a bikini and tried to tempt Handa. Handa looked confused and said the doll looked pretty. When Sakurame told Handa to take off the doll's skirt, Handa covered the doll with his handkerchief and said women should be treated with respect. Sakurame felt bad about his own behavior after hearing this, apologized to the doll, and promised to make a proper manga about Handa to honor this. A week later, the club met to show their work. When Fat Joe showed his manga, the others were surprised because he designed the girl version of Handa in a very revealing way. Sakurame got angry seeing these inappropriate pictures ruining Handa's good points, so he beat Eye Patch Captain. Then, trying to defend his own story, Daddy Diabetes fought with Sakurame too. The youngest boy, Takoyaki, stepped in and showed his comedy story, which was a space love story, but Sakurame didn't like it and beat him too. Sakurame said they should stop with things like this and focus on a real, decent story. Plus Size and Takoyaki said Sakurame was trying to change the rules of the club. Sakurame replied that they could try something new instead of their old style. Then he showed his manga, where Handa was the main character with a better backstory. The others agreed that Sakurame's manga was the best, but that manga fell down with the old ones, and later Handa picked it up with the recycling trash. When the boys met Aizawa in the hallway, they were really excited to show their work, but they found out the Handa manga was not on the table and had already been thrown out with other garbage. They panicked and ran after the trash truck to get it back. Handa overheard them and realized he was the one who accidentally threw their manga away. The boys couldn't run after the truck for long and sat down tired. At that moment, someone sped past them chasing the truck, and they saw it was Handa. Handa got the truck to come back, and the boys started searching through the papers to find their manga. Some sheets flew away in the wind, including their early sketches. Handa caught a sheet with Professor Piggy on it and was shocked when he saw that it showed his girl version in a very inappropriate way. A few months later, the next school festival came. The student council president started the festival by saying that this time its name would be Handa Festival. Students were not happy with this name, and they realized Sawako only did this to impress Handa. Aizawa told his classmates to try their best to win the top prize at the festival. Ryo said they should wear maid costumes, and Akane said they should host a boxing tournament. But the girls said they would do the Romeo and Juliet play, and Ryo immediately agreed because he had wanted to do the Juliet role since he was a child, while Condo was surprised. Since no one could decide, they left the last decision to Handa because he was the class rep, and they gave him 3 options. Handa felt more pressure, so Condo tried to help by saying to add one more option, but this made Handa even more confused. Handa slipped and said out loud that game where boys wear girls' clothes, so the girls in the class got very happy. Handa realized his mistake and ran out of there. He was sitting by the stairs when Sawako came and suggested to him to be stronger, decide on his own, and not care about everyone's opinion. Handa was paying more attention to her new hairstyle. Then Sawako asked him to use his art skill to help with the wall paintings for the festival, so Handa agreed to do the job for no money. As she left, Sawako told him to stay strong in his decision. Handa came back to class, but the room was empty and everyone was gone. Aizawa said the class had already decided everything without him. The next day, when Handa wanted to help, Aizawa told him just to sit and watch, so Handa thought they wanted him out of the way. This really happened because his classmates left him alone at school, and Handa also saw that nobody tried to wake him up. He was watching a cat outside when some thugs tried to attack him, but Handa Force showed up and saved him. The next day, they gave out roles for the play. Ryo argued that he should play Juliet, but Aizawa said Akane was more suitable. Condo saw that he got a simple role with no lines. When Handa asked about his role, Aizawa told him just to sit and watch because they had planned something special for him. The girls were preparing a wig for Handa's role, and the boys were practicing acting by copying Handa, but Handa himself didn't join them in this activity. The festival day arrived. Kawafuji was helping in the art section, then he and Kaisuke went to see what Handa's class was doing. They got drinks and sat down to watch the play. The play started, Ryo played Romeo, and Akane played Juliet. When both hugged each other, people thought Romeo would get crushed. Then the play moved on with songs and music. Someone spun Romeo, then King Lear appeared and said a few words, after which Juliet left Romeo and drank a bottle of poison. When Romeo woke up, he saw Juliet was dead. People were trying to explain things to him, but he didn't listen and decided to die with her. Then suddenly, a fellow from another story appeared in the middle by mistake, which made Juliet come back to life and she stopped Romeo. Then Queen Elizabeth came out and calmed everyone down. Kawafuji was surprised to see the ruler of England was the role given to Handa. Handa himself was wondering why he was standing on stage, especially when they didn't give him a single line. When he saw Kawafuji watching him, he got even more nervous. Then he couldn't take it anymore and ran off the stage, and his fangirls ran after him. Handa Force was taking a break outside when some students came and said that Handa was in trouble because thugs from Kuro High were looking for him, while Handa was just sitting in a corner eating. The thugs were asking everyone about Handa. They thought they could catch him, but a boy who looked like him appeared. Then suddenly many Handa lookalikes showed up. Their leader, Ryo, grabbed Kai and threatened him to give up Handa's location. Kaie said he wouldn't go against Handa. At that moment, Dash showed up and by mistake told them Handa was in the class for 7th graders, so Ryo and the other thugs ran off to that room. On the way, they met Tsugumi, who warned them that something bad was going to happen. She read Ryo's palm using her lens and said his life would be filled with trouble. After hearing Tagumi's scary prediction, the boys quickly left the area, but when Miyoko and Kasumi heard that some thugs were after Handa, they decided to fight them together. At the same time, Kei joined up with Aizawa and the rest, warning them that Ryo and his guys now knew where Handa was, so if they wanted to save him, they should hurry up. Asahi and his group came to the festival too, planning to see the Romeo and Juliet play, while Handa was backstage, wondering what he could do to improve his part, instead of just sitting quietly in old lady's clothes. Ryo and his thugs searched for Handa but couldn't find him because Handa was hiding inside a castle prop. When he heard their voices, he thought the play had started and began rehearsing his lines. The thugs sat and waited for Handa to come out. Then Asahi and his boys arrived, making the environment more tense, and Jimoto punched one of the boys in anger, after which a fight started. Handa waited with his hands on his ears for his cue. When Aizawa and the rest ran inside and made a loud noise, Handa came out of his fake castle and told everyone to stop fighting. Then he quickly went back inside because he thought he had come out too early. After that, everyone talked about what happened, and Ryo and his boys said they weren't there to hurt Handa, but now respected him. They explained that near Akane's house, Handa had scared them so much, they lost their courage and were there to bow in front of him. Asahi and his group also apologized for fighting for no reason. At the same time, they saw that Ryo was lying on the ground unconscious because Miyoko and her new partner had taken him down. Later that night, as the festival was ending, Sawako thanked everyone and said it was time for rewards. She gave the Best School Club award to Neo and his club, who sold 5,000 copies in a day of their manga about Handa. Then she announced the award for Best Class Performance, saying Handa's class had won it for the Romeo and Juliet play. Since Handa was class rep, he was called up to get the award, but he got scared thinking people would shame him for no reason, so he was shaking as he went to the stage. But just as Handa was about to receive the crown, Kawafuji came and said he should get the crown since his class did a better job in their performance. Sawako quickly put the crown on Handa's head and said it was his. Then Kawafuji told Handa to give him the crown since he was his only true friend. The crowd got angry that Kawafuji was stealing Handa's attention, so they started throwing things and making a scene, which made Handa think they wanted to embarrass him on stage. Then Kawafuji told Handa to look carefully at the crowd because people were cheering for him. At that point, Handa realized that nobody ever hated him and it was all in his own mind from the start. After realizing this, Handa took off the crown and said the crown belonged to everyone at the festival. Sawako was impressed with Handa's behavior and announced his big reward, which was a large parade float of Handa. But Handa felt weird that the school people saw him as such a big thing. Aizawa and the others told him to get on the float, but when Handa tried to climb on, he saw flames coming out of the float and realized he would have been hurt if he got on. Still, people just stood and watched the float burn. The next day at school, Handa finally fit in with his classmates and made new friends.